Last night was supposed to be the glorious comeback of Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed face of the league, the Chi Barbie, the player who once declared she was the reason arenas were selling out and the reason the WNBA was booming. Fans were told this return would be nothing short of a spectacle, a queen's entrance, the kind of night where the lights shine brighter, the cameras flash nonstop, and the crowd roars with deafening energy. But what actually happened inside Chicago's Wintrust Arena told a completely different story. Instead of a roaring ovation, Angel Reese was met with silence so heavy it could be cut with a knife. Instead of fans fighting for seats, over 2,000 chairs sat embarrassingly empty. And instead of proving she was back stronger than ever, she ended up becoming the punchline of the night. Her shots clanked, her confidence looked fake, and her aura of dominance shattered in real time on national television. The very player who bragged about carrying the league could barely carry her team through a single game, and fans did not hold back their anger. This wasn't a comeback, this was a collapse, and it left everyone asking one brutal question: has Angel Reese's hype finally died for good? Angel Reese walked back onto the court after weeks away, probably thinking the spotlight was waiting just for her, probably expecting the crowd to rise to their feet and shower her with love, asking questions like, what happened to the back injury? And is the queen finally returning to save Chicago? But what she faced instead was brutal silence. No ovation, no electricity, just a flat crowd and rows of empty seats staring back at her. Only 6,724 fans showed up to Wintrust Arena, a building that can hold nearly 9,500. That's almost 3,000 empty chairs, 3,000 missed opportunities to prove she still mattered, 3,000 signs that the hype machine was running out of gas. And as if the silence wasn't humiliating enough, the game itself turned into a nightmare. Reese finished the night not with glory, but with frustration, blocked multiple times, losing the ball, and watching her team collapse to a crushing defeat against the Seattle Storm. This was supposed to be her statement game, but instead it became proof that the so-called Chi Barbie had lost the very magic she claimed made her untouchable. What makes this fall from grace even more shocking is the contrast to just a few months ago when Angel Reese was out here bragging that she alone was the reason the Chicago sky could pull sellout crowds. She claimed the WNBA was thriving because of her name, her presence, her brand, and sure, the arena looked packed on some nights, but let's keep it real, the truth behind those numbers had nothing to do with Angel Reese. Those sellouts came from dirt cheap ticket promotions, seats going for as little as $3, practically giving them away just to fill the stands. And even then, fans weren't showing up for her, they were showing up because it was affordable entertainment, not because she was the star attraction. Yet Reese refused to acknowledge that reality. She doubled down on the idea that she was the savior of the sky, the lifeline of the WNBA. So when she finally stepped back on that court with her chest out and her head high, convinced she was still the queen of Chicago, the truth smacked her harder than any defender ever could. The hype was gone, the fans weren't buying it anymore, and the empty seats told the whole story. And here's where the reality check hit hardest, because when the numbers finally came out, they painted a picture even uglier than what the cameras showed. Wintrust Arena holds about 9,500 fans, but for Angel Reese's so-called grand return, only 6,724 showed up. Do the math: more than 2,700 empty seats glaring back under the bright lights, not hidden in shadows, not disguised by camera angles, just wide open and impossible to ignore. That's not a near sellout, that's not even respectable, that's embarrassment on display. This wasn't the Queen's homecoming that was hyped like a once-in-a-lifetime event. It looked more like a sparsely attended midweek high school game. And for a player who spent months pushing the narrative that she was the ticket seller, the crowd magnet, the reason arenas were buzzing, that brutal attendance number didn't just sting, it exposed the entire illusion. The craziest part is that everyone expected this return to feel like a Beyoncé concert, a once-in-a-generation spectacle where the doors would burst open, scalpers would be outside flipping tickets for triple the price, and fans would be clawing at the gates just to catch a glimpse of the so-called Chi Barbie. That's what the hype machine promised us. But when reality finally hit, it was brutal. Instead of standing room only, the arena looked like a pep rally with half the school missing. Instead of unmatched energy, the atmosphere was flat, empty, lifeless. Angel Reese called herself the double-double queen, the player who was going to put Chicago on the map, but her big return didn't even fill a medium-sized gym. The truth is, Caitlin Clark's preseason games have had more electricity in the building than this so-called marquee moment, and that comparison cuts deep because it proves exactly what fans already know. Reese's aura is hype. Clark's impact is real. So now the million-dollar question is, why? Why did the fans ditch Angel Reese? Why did the hype evaporate so quickly? Why did the same people who once chanted her name suddenly vanish when she needed them most? The answer lies in the disappearing act that's become her trademark. Every time the spotlight dims, every time the sky loses momentum, every time her hype begins to fade, Angel Reese pulls the same move. She vanishes. She walks out on her team, she ghosts the fans, she hides behind the excuse of a back injury. And let's be real, of all the injuries in basketball, the irony is too obvious. The player who claimed she was carrying Chicago on her back suddenly can't play because of her back. But fans aren't buying it anymore. They've connected the dots, they've seen the pattern, and they know it's not about pain, it's about timing. Real injuries happen, sure, but when the excuse becomes the punchline, it's no longer bad luck, it's a brand. And for Angel Reese, that brand is starting to crumble. Because, let's be brutally honest, Angel Reese isn't really playing for the Chicago sky anymore. She's playing for Instagram, for endorsements, for image. Every possession looks less like basketball and more like a photo shoot for her next post. The difference between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese couldn't be clearer. Clark is busy building a career, stacking numbers, earning respect, while Reese is busy building a brand, loud enough to trend, but shallow enough to fade. Fans aren't fools. They see the truth. They see that Clark's greatness comes from the game, while Reese's spotlight comes from noise. And the moment that noise died down, the empty seats proved exactly what mattered most. Without constant drama and clickbait, Angel Reese doesn't fill arenas, doesn't spark excitement, doesn't carry the league. She tapped out long before the fans did. And the proof of that couldn't be clearer than when fans caught the Indiana Fever red-handed trying to cover up Caitlin Clark's sudden disappearance. Reporters were told it was an injury, but fans weren't buying it because they had receipts. They went back, replayed the game from the 7th of August, and what did they see? Clark walking perfectly fine, swinging her designer bag like she was headed to a fashion show, not limping to an MRI machine. The excuses didn't add up, the timelines didn't match, and the entire cover-up stank of desperation. And here's the kicker, this is exactly why fans are furious. Because Clark is the one they trust, the one they believe in, the one who makes arenas come alive, while Reese has turned into the distraction, the player who talks big but delivers little. And every time the league tries to spin the narrative, every time a front office tries to bury the truth, it only makes the contrast between Caitlin Clark's authenticity and Angel Reese's manufactured hype more obvious. Because when you strip away the excuses and the hype, the truth is staring everyone in the face. Angel Reese isn't leading the sky, she's dragging them down. Her so-called comeback didn't elevate her teammates, it muted them. Camila Cardoso, who was shining in Reese's absence, instantly saw her numbers dip the moment Reese stepped back on the floor. That's not leadership, that's sabotage disguised as star power. And the fans feel it, the teammates feel it, the entire league sees it. Reese isn't the unstoppable force she sells herself as. She's the most blocked player in the WNBA, the one whose highlight reels double as opponent blooper reels, the self-proclaimed queen who can't even fill her own arena. And yet, she still dreams of launching signature shoes, talking about being the next Michael Jordan while barely surviving her own hype. It's delusional, it's desperate, and it's exactly why the fans are done pretending. They've chosen who really carries the future of the league, and spoiler alert, it's not Angel Reese. So here's the reality, Angel Reese promised a royal comeback, but what she delivered was an empty arena, a humbling loss, and a reminder that hype doesn't last forever. Fans showed her exactly how much faith they've lost by leaving seats empty, teammates proved how little her presence actually elevates them, and the league exposed just how fragile her brand really is compared to the unstoppable rise of Caitlin Clark. Reese built her image on noise, on social media, on claiming she was the face of women's basketball. But when the lights came on and it was time to prove it on the court, she couldn't deliver. The self-proclaimed Chi Barbie wanted to be the queen of Chicago, but instead, she's become a cautionary tale for what happens when the brand is bigger than the game. And as the WNBA continues to grow, one thing is certain, fans aren't fooled anymore. They know exactly who the real star is, and Angel Reese is running out of chances to prove it's her.